Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. It is very late at night here and I have a very grumbly Kyra next to me, so please bear that in mind as we go forward. I made a wonderful decision several years ago now to delete my Twitter account because I kind of couldn't cope with everything I was seeing on there. G'day Gooby, I can say hi to everyone. The reason for doing that was a whole mix of stuff. There was a lot of harassment on there from a certain creator who doesn't like me and their fans. Then there was the whole Gabby Hanna, Jimmy Snow drama that went down. And it didn't help at the time that I was in a really emotionally messed up place because I was in an abusive relationship, and seeing a lot of the stuff on Twitter and knowing what was going on in my life, I was just a big emotional mess constantly, so I decided delete Twitter, and I felt like my life got so much better. I also got rid of the abusive ex, and the bullying is still going on, the harassment is still going on. It's absolutely killing me. I'm just about ready to fall apart. But Twitter was gone, and that was great. And for a long time I thought having that out of my life, really good. And then last year, Threads came along and even though I don't really use it, I don't really post on it, I don't talk to people on it, I don't really look at it very often, I do like Instagram. I know, I post a lot of pictures of you on there, don't I? I do love Instagram. And recently one of the things that Instagram have started doing is they put little previews of threads on your Instagram feed, so you kind of can't help but see it. So last month I made the mistake of just browsing, reading, seeing what people think about things in 300 characters or something silly like that, and I started to lose my faith in humanity all over again. And I thought it would be funny if, I say funny, sad, they're kind of the same thing at this point. If we have a look at some of these posts from Threads and some wild opinions that people have and just kind of casually talk about them. There's no script for this, I'm just going to be reading some posts and just giving you my thoughts off the top of my head. So yeah, glad to have you on this journey with me. So as many of you may know, last month was Pride Month. Fantastic, wonderful, we love to see it. And this poster in particular, her friend thought that Pride Month was a wonderful time to come out as bisexual to her husband, to tell her, hey, you know what, this is something maybe I've been thinking about for a while, this is something I've been considering, this is a part of myself that I want to share with you. It doesn't have to change our relationship, but this is what, I kind of want you to know that this is a part of my identity. So she came out as bisexual to him. And, so to read you this post, my friend came out as bi to her husband, now he divorced her. What are your thoughts? Now, obviously, my initial thought was oh, what an insecure little man. But secondly, I was oh, well, maybe he had other problems with the marriage and he just used this as an excuse to break up with her. I was trying to find some good in it, other than him just being a homophobic douchebag, but who knows. I kind of started to lose faith in people though when I started reading the comments and the replies to this thread. This person says, I'd have to say I don't blame him. I don't think it has anything to do with her sexuality. I think it has to do with her seeking a sex partner beside her husband. I'm sorry, but who said she was seeking a sex partner outside her husband? Do you not know what being bisexual is? Really bothers me when people think that bisexuality is equivalent to polyamory, because it's absolutely not. You can be poly without being bi, and you can be bi without being poly, or you can be both, or obviously neither. Just because you can find yourself attracted to people of multiple or any gender, we'll not get into the whole bisexuality versus pansexuality thing now, because that's a little more nuanced than I want to get into right now. But just because you find yourself attracted to people of multiple genders, that doesn't mean something like you want to date one of every gender at a time, Being bi isn't like catching Pokemon. You don't want to catch them all. A monogamous bisexual person can be very happy with just one partner. It's just in finding that partner, they have a few more options. That's all there is to it. Another person here says, amazing how many people defend the women here. She went into a marriage and a legal contract through non-disclosure. It's basically a breach of contract and a breach of the husband's trust, as she's been lying to him for years. Don't blame him. His choice, But again, the women are taking no accountability. Sorry, she's been lying to him for years and it's a breach of contract. Did they specifically go into that marriage with a clause saying must not be bisexual? Because if not, that's not a breach of contract. And it doesn't mean she was lying to him for years. Maybe she did know and she felt the need to hide it for a long time because she was unsure how he was going to react. Not everyone wants to be open about it because you don't know how bigoted other people are. Part of me would argue if you can't trust your partner like that, maybe don't marry them. But on the other hand, if she was scared, you can't blame her. And it might not just be about him, it might have been about the other people in their lives. Maybe she didn't want to come out completely, and that's absolutely fine. The other thing is, maybe she didn't know. Plenty of people don't realize or explore their sexuality until much later in life, and they don't, or if they do, they don't necessarily want to put labels on themselves until much later, and that's absolutely okay. Maybe she was as honest with him as soon as she was able to be honest with herself, you know, and I think that's really, really commendable. It doesn't mean she was lying and it was a breach of contract. And I'm sorry, but like, what accountability is she supposed to take here? She hasn't done anything wrong. Madness. Another person here, and this is completely wild to me, says, I don't blame him. If she was being faithful, which she had the right to expect, why would she need to come out as bi? Maybe because she wants to be honest with her partner? Maybe because she wants to be honest with herself? Maybe because she doesn't want to hide that part of herself away anymore? Maybe, I don't know, because she is proud of her identity and who she is. Maybe she was just sick of hiding it from herself and other people all these years. It has nothing to do with her necessarily wanting to date anyone else or be with anyone else or anything like that. It could just be that she wanted her husband to know who she was, and I don't think that's asking too much. I don't think that's unreasonable. Another person, and again, this isn't, I feel like with every comment I'm like, this is insane to me, but this is insane to me. They said, obviously he wants to be happy, and he wants his wife to be happy. They simply cannot be totally happy together. Why are you attempting to make a very private matter a debate on the internet? My thoughts on this? You're a terrible friend. Ugh. And kind of, yes, on the one hand, I get it. Like, I maybe wouldn't want my friends posting like this about me, but, you know, I think it's still an interesting topic to talk about, and she's not named anyone specifically, so it's kind of more of just a hypothetical debate, which is like what we're having here, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That said, the other bit, they simply cannot be totally happy together. Since when? Again, like, let's say you're a heterosexual couple, right? You don't assume that, like, oh, me and my wife can never be completely happy together because I'm not out there dating other women and she's not out there dating other men. You don't have that train of thought when you're in a monogamous relationship, do you? So, and I mean, well, poly couples might, but they're not what we're talking about here. So why would you assume that, like, a bisexual woman can't be completely fulfilled with one partner of either gender? It makes no sense to me. This is what I mean. Bisexuality is not the same as polyamory. Plenty of people are both. Plenty of people are only one or the other, and plenty are neither. But you can't equate them. It's insane to me. It's not what he signed up for. I don't blame him for divorcing her, because if it was the other way around, I don't think she'd be staying with him, just saying each to his own. Why would she not stay with him? People are insane to me. Like, I feel like there are things you can say to your partner late into a relationship, like opening up things about yourself and what you want and things like that, that can change the dynamic of a relationship. For example, if you wanted to change something about your appearance drastically, like, I don't know, you met and you had hair down to your bum and then suddenly one day you want to shave it off. I get that your partner might be a bit like, oh, this is a big change. Let me think about how this affects me. And ultimately, it's still the person with the hair's choice, but I get the partner would want to think about it. There are things that will affect your relationship no matter what. Like, for example, if, again, years into an established relationship, you say, I want to explore polyamory, I want an open relationship. Yeah, that absolutely changes the dynamic between you, it does. But just admitting, hey, you know what, I think I might be bisexual and not hetero, what does that change? It doesn't change anything. I know, Kubi, it doesn't. She's over there grumbling by the front door. She's on my side, aren't you, baby? Yeah. I feel like the only people for who this would change something for are people who are actively homophobic and biphobic bigots, you know? Thankfully though, there are plenty of people with a little bit of sanity. This person says, I came out as bi to my husband and he was like, yeah, I know. Her ex-husband's fragile masculinity is nauseating, but she's probably better off without him. Hugs to her. Completely agree. Another person said, if she was unaware before marriage and realised it after marrying him, she's just being honest. Men can be attracted to women without incentive to cheat / leave their partners, the same way women can be attracted to other men. So what makes being bi any different? Thank God for these people. I remember that back when I was single, like the amount of people who would be insecure about bisexuality and just not want to date bi partners was insane to me. Like, it just, yeah, I don't know. It's something I don't think I'll ever get my head around. Just for a little bit more sanity here, this person says, for all the ignorant and insecure, I've been married to a man for 27 years and faithful. I've been bi all my life, and my husband has always known and never ever had an ounce of jealousy, as he's never thought I would cheat on him with a woman or a man. I am so thankful for people like this spreading a little bit of sanity. The people, I feel like this is also a problem, but for a different reason. Some men would say it would be a dream come true. Some men would say if they couldn't tell them the truth before they got married, how can they trust them after they tell them? Then there are some who would stay with them and love them for who they are. Now, the last point, absolutely fine. Second point, not so problem. First point, some men would say that would be a dream come true, bothers me again, because a person being bisexual, like especially a woman being bisexual, isn't fodder for your fantasies. I'm sick of it being sexualized and fetishized and people treating it as like, ooh, this means I can watch your kiss girls. They're like, no, stop it. It bothers the hell out of me. Anyway, that's pretty much that topic covered. There's one more I want to do in this video because I don't want to make it too long, and I'm going to film a little series of these videos tonight so I can put a few shorter ones out on my channel. But this person, again, posed a hypothetical question. This is about toxic heteronormativity. No, this is about how you split bills and stuff when you're in a heterosexual couple and something gender roles, who cares? This person, again, posed a hypothetical situation saying, he makes 80k a year and she makes 30k a year. They move in together and rent is 2k a month. How should they split the rent? Now, for me, this seems quite easy. You look at what people bring home after tax, and then you just split it accordingly, right? You can bring other things into account, like if one person has credit card debt they're trying to get out of, then maybe they can put more to that and less to the rent for a little bit. Or if one person pays a bit more towards X bills, and they can do that. Like, you know, you just try and make it even, right? You want to be contributing to the relationship as equally as you can, as fairly as you can, don't you? I don't know. And it doesn't have to be like 50-50 down to the penny, but I just feel like as long as you're being as even as you can, isn't that all we can ask? I think it seems obvious, but no, not to the people of Threads. This person says, the way me and girlfriend do it is 50-50, even though I make 3 times what she does. When we moved in, we agreed on this as it's cheaper to live in a house together than it is in 2 separate apartments. I pay most utility stuff and take care of our 7 cars. 7 cars? Who the hell has 7 cars? And most of the groceries. Like, good that he's paying more towards other stuff. It's 7 cars. That's ridiculous. Sorry. If you ever wonder who's killing the environment, people like this. And Taylor Swift. God's sake. I just got thrown off completely by that. Where were we? Here we go. Yeah, I feel like with roommates or something like that, it's fair because you are all individuals and you're all sharing an equal amount of space, so you just split the cost of it equally, right, in chunks. But I feel like with a partnership it's different because you're a unit, you're working to build a future together, and that means, you know, you put your savings together for things. Like, this is if you want to live together. Like, me and my partner don't want to live together, so it's different for us. For us, it is just as simple as, like, you know, paying for dates and holidays and stuff like that. And in that case, we tend to split it in terms of, like, what I earn versus what he earns and that sort of thing. But, so usually I pay, like, 70-ish% and he pays 30%, or some dates we'll just go 50-50. It's just, you know, whatever works for us at the time, because my income fluctuates, so it's kind of fair. But I feel like, yeah, if you're living with a partner, then it's not really a matter of like just splitting things 50-50, because, well, it's like that equality versus equity meme, isn't it? You know, the one where there's like a bunch of people at different heights and they're trying to see over a fence, and like if you give them all the same box to stand on, then one person can see but then the other two can't. Whereas if you split it like in terms of equity, then one person who can already see doesn't get a box, the one in the middle gets one box and he can see, and then the smallest one gets two boxes and now he can see as well. So it's not split evenly, but it's split fairly. I feel like when you're in a partnership, it should be split that way, shouldn't it? Because like I say, because why wouldn't you both want to have the same quality of life as each other, the same access to the same things, the same, I don't know, it just, wild. I feel like some people are just like, just 50-50, especially when they're on the end of like, you know, they earn more so they get more disposable income at the end of it. It's almost like they're in competition with their partner, you know? Whereas for me, even though I earn more than my partner, I'm like, well, yes, I earn more and I have more disposable income, except not at the minute because the legal fees are killing me. It's got a bill for like £7,000. God's sake. Sorry, I'm really upset because at the minute I've already put like £10,000-12,000 of my savings into this, and they're still not leaving me alone. They're still going, their fans are still harassing me and spreading lies about me, and like it's like there's nothing I can do to get them to leave me alone, and having to take legal action is draining me financially and emotionally and also physically because I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating, I'm an absolute wreck. But I just kind of feel like, with me and my partner, if I have disposable income, why wouldn't I want to spend a big chunk of that on experiences that me and him can share that we wouldn't necessarily get to do otherwise if we were just splitting it 50-50? Because, like, there are certain things that maybe he couldn't afford unless I put a bit extra money in. So why wouldn't I put that money in to be able to share that with him? I don't know, for me, having a partner who I can share stuff with is more important than having a bit of extra cash, but I don't know, I guess we all value different things, don't we? Okay, anyway, let's see what people said. Oh god, yeah, this person I don't agree with at all. Speaking as a man, and sorry, if anyone ever starts a sentence with speaking as a man, I immediately just want to shut off my brain. Speaking as a man who has split rent in past relationships versus paying for everything now so my woman doesn't have to work, men should pay for everything. You guys out there truly have no idea how rewarding it is to be in a true masculine/feminine relationship where your primal need to provide and her primal need to care are both fulfilled. You can say whatever you want online about how it's 2024, but divorce and infidelity rates are higher for those who don't have that dynamic. I am gonna need a source for those stats that you just pulled from your bum, please, because that is not true at all. But on the one hand, I'm not going to judge someone's individual relationship and say you shouldn't do this. If this works for him, absolutely great. But trying to claim that this is the right way to do it for every couple is just insane. If I just sat back and told Kieran he had to pay for everything and provide for me, both of our qualities of life would be so much lower than it actually is. And I wouldn't be fulfilled because, I'm sorry, but I don't have a primal need to care. I like to work, I like to create, I like to look after him in the sense of like, I can take us on holiday, you know? Not in the sense of like, I'll cook him a meal, because no one should experience my cooking. I have like 4 dishes I'm really good at, and then everything else I just could not care less. Again, this is where it comes back to the equity versus equality thing, because like, as long as you're both doing what you want and you're both living with the quality of life that you want and you can support together, that should be what's important. Not this arbitrary thing of man do this, woman do this, you know? This person, again, bothers me. Why are you splitting bills with someone you're not married to, living together even? There's nothing wrong with living together without being married. I have lived with a partner before and it was a wonderful experience until we stopped being right for each other, which absolutely happens. And with my partner now, I don't want to live with him, but we're still very, like, committed to each other and we don't want marriage, but we still split joint finances for, like I said, things like holidays and experiences together and dates. This is wild to me. I don't know. There's absolutely nothing wrong with splitting finances with someone you're committed to, even if you're not married. Why do people put so much emphasis on marriage? Crazy to me. I had like a little bit of a, oh god, I was in such a state the other weekend. Kieran, bless him, he was an angel. I was all emotional because, you know, my medication's been a mess recently, and I had these terrible withdrawals for like 2 weeks, and now I'm at that like emotional, anxious, sad all the time stage. And we were out with some of Kieran's friends, and one of them, bless her, she was being so nice, and she was like, oh, you guys have been together like 2 years now. Have you spoken about moving in together? When's that gonna happen? And I was like, oh, no. And I was like, that's not what I want. It's not what he wants. We are very happy the way we are. This works for us, and I like it. And throughout the rest of that day, like, people just kept asking, oh, are you gonna move in together? I'm like, and I got a little bit like exhausted of explaining to people that that's not what we wanted, but it's just so expected of couples now. It's like, you date, you move in, you get married, and, you know, throw in pets and kids and all that stuff in there as well. And it's hard to have to keep explaining that you don't want that traditional thing, and it gets really, really exhausting. And then combined with something my sister said to me, like, it's going back a couple of months now, it's really stuck in my head, but we were talking about, like, I think it might have even been Christmas presents, so it might have been all the way back at the end of last year. But I was showing Sarah Jane this Lego set I was buying for Kira, and I was like, oh, it's really, really cool. And she was looking through some other sets on the side, and she was like, oh, this is great, this is great. I was like, oh my god, Kieran would love that. And she made this joke of like, all right then, well, when you get married to him, I'll buy it for him. I was like, what do you mean when we get married? And she's like, I'm not spending this much money on someone you're not married to. And I was like, but you know we don't want to get married. And she's like, yeah, but how do I know he's going to stick around if you don't get married? And I was like, he might not stick around if we do. And again, it just kind of bothered me. So when I was all emotional, I had this big cry, and I was like, Kieran, I'm just so happy with you, and I just want things to stay the way they are. We can do that, right? We don't have to change. We don't have to do what other people want. And he was like, hey, we're fine. And I was like, because I love you so much. He's like, I love you. We're okay. Don't worry. And bless him, he was a proper sweetheart, and he really looked after me, and he just let me have this big cry and like just emotionally dump everything out that had building up in my head for like, what is it, like 7 months now. And I was just like, because everyone wants us to do these things, and I don't want to do these things, and you don't want to do these things, and I just want to be with you. And he was like, then that's what we'll do. It's absolutely fine. And he was wonderful about it. Yeah, honestly, these kinds of tweets, like this woman being like, yeah, why are you splitting goods with someone you're not married to? And this dismissal of all non-traditional relationships just really, really bothers me, because like, why do you have to put someone down for just doing things differently to you? It just really, really gets to me. This person had an interesting take. They said they shouldn't split rent. He should take care of the rent, and depending on utilities, she should take care of that. If you do want to do a split, you need to look at income ratio. She makes about 37% of his income. Her financial contribution should be equal percentage-wise of her income as his. She makes $2,500 a month. He makes about $6,600. So she should pay about $550, he pays $1,450 if we're just talking rent. I kind of agree, I do think she's on the right lines, but I also think instead of just looking at base salary and being like, well, they bring home this much a month, no, we'll look at the actual take-home pay after tax. Because if someone's earning a higher amount, certain bits are gonna have a higher tax rate on them, which means that even though he might be earning X amount more than you over the year, he's only bringing home Y amount more than you a month. And you know, because different tax brackets, and that's just how finances work, right? So I think you look at what people are actually bringing home every month, like their take-home pay after tax and national insurance and student loans, all sort of things, stuff that comes out automatically. Look at it after that and then split it that way. I don't know, that just seems fair to me. Oh my god, see this person again. Don't sign a lease with someone you're not engaged or married to, and you won't have to worry about these things. And don't marry someone who wants you to pay half of everything. This is all absolute nonsense. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely okay to marry someone that you're splitting finances with. That is completely normal. And it's also actually really, really helpful to live with someone before you marry them. I just feel like for a very small number of people, maybe they are able to go from dating to marriage and living together immediately. But for so many people, the living together stage is really, really important because you don't really know a person until you're living with them, until you're with them constantly, you know? And like, I know for me and Kieran, like, you know, just when we go on holiday and you're together with someone 24 hours a day pretty much and you don't get space away from them, like you really do see them completely. And like with him, our first holiday was such a nice eye-opener for me because I realized like how much I love him and how much it really is easy to spend that much time together with him. It's just that we also choose to be alone and value our independence too. So it's like, it's not that we can't be alone together for that amount of time. It's just that it's kind of nice not to sometimes. We both have other values in life and it's, yeah, I don't know, it kind of strengthened our relationship a bit, I think, which is lovely. But at the same time, like, I am someone who has lived with a partner for, 4 years, I think I lived with Dan. And he was very much pushing for marriage and that kind of thing. And, you know, it was, I genuinely thought I would marry him because that's what he wanted. And I was told that's what I had to want as well. And, like, it was even to the point where, like, he would move my rings onto my ring finger and, like, be like, yeah, why not propose, blah, blah, blah. But he would still make me wear that as though we were already engaged. Like, it's, I don't know, the time I saw it was cute. Now I look back and I'm a little bit obsessive. Anyway, not the point. The point is, the living together stage was really, really helpful for us, or for me in particular, because while I kind of got an inkling on holidays that maybe we weren't built to be around each other constantly, the living together really kind of solidified that over the years, especially as he started working in an investment bank and became a very different person. And I honestly started YouTube and met my musician friends and became a very different person as well. And I feel like the living together, while the breakup was still hard and, you know, it drained a lot of my resources and it was emotionally difficult and everything, it was still a lot easier than it would have been if we'd had to deal with a divorce on top of that, you know? So I feel like having, if you want to view living together as a trial period, that can be really helpful. If you just want to view it as the end game, that's really useful as well. And if you want to view it as something you don't want to do, also fine. I think you just have to figure out what's right for you. And I don't like these comments, like these people who are like, ooh, you know, don't sign a lease with someone you're not married to. It's just, it's silly, it's narrow-minded. That's all I have to say, really. This person said, so I'm curious what most people will say if a woman earns more for the same situation. Yeah, good point, because I think a lot of it is rooted in this misogynistic idea that, like, men need to be the breadwinners and me. And, like, a lot of people get quite, especially men, get grumpy over the fact that I earn more than my partner. And they find that weird, but I don't think it's a big deal. I just think it should be the same for everyone. Like, you do things equally. You split things equitably. And that's true whether you're in a heterosexual relationship or, you know, you're with a same-sex partner or a non-binary partner. Like, I don't think gender matters, does it? Yeah. He should pay 100% if their goal is marriage. No. Oh, this person's answer I did not like. Are you ready for this? This one bothered me quite a bit. If splitting is the only option, then do 1,500, 500 or 1,600, 400. He's making you make those biscuits, baby. Reason, she's got other payments men don't usually have. Let's say nails, makeup, food, and being a pretty lady for her man. I'm not sure where food comes into this. I'm pretty sure every human eats, but here we are. Of course, the same thing can be said about man, but he makes 2.5 times more. So if we talk percentages, that is what I think. Personally, I wouldn't let my lady pay rent or anything. She can work if she wants and keep that money for herself, and I work for both of us, but times are hard these days, so I know. This is a bit of a jumbled mess of thoughts, but I thoroughly hate this idea that women should be paying less for, like, you know, human things like having a roof over our heads and bills because we gotta get our nails done, our hair done, makeup. No. Look, I say this as someone who, I like pretty things. I do spend a big chunk of my disposable income on pretty clothes and mostly pretty clothes. I love my clothes. But a little different for me because I don't, like, get my nails done anymore. I used to for a while, but I'm past the point of picking my face compulsively too often now, so I don't really need them, which is why I was getting them done before. Anyway, not the point. I don't really have that. I don't really enjoy haircuts, so I go like once every 18 months. So maybe it's just because those aren't necessary expenses for me, but I also feel like they're luxuries, right? For me, the pretty clothes are a luxury. My makeup, other than the basics I have for videos, because I don't need all the fancy stuff I have. Honestly, all I need is like a little bit of concealer, mascara, something for my eyebrows, done. They're the essentials, right? Everything else is a luxury. I just don't think a luxury should be counted as a necessity that stops you paying your bills like an adult. I don't know, call me crazy, but just saying. Oh, actually, I was going to end the video on that post, but I have one more that I think is quite interesting. This person, again, raises a hypothetical question using a theme here of the post that I picked. It says married couples, although I think she just means cohabiting couples, because let's stop with this marriages to full... What do you think about sleeping in separate rooms? My husband's parents sleep separately, and I think it's the weirdest thing. My husband grew up around this, so he disagrees. Genuinely want to know your thoughts on this. And again, fine, why not? If it works for them, let them do it. Like, me and Kieran don't just have separate rooms, we have separate flats, because we like our space. I work from home, I like to work at weird hours of the day, and I'm doing my second degree, so I need study time as well. It works for us to have our independence like that. Kieran, he's definitely a lot tidier than me. He's a lot neater in his home than me, so I would feel bad if I was in his space messing up his stuff all the time, and I wouldn't want him to have to deal with all my clutter. I think that would just be an unnecessary stress. And this, like I said before, it works for us because it means that the time we do spend together is time that we really, really enjoy and value, because it's time that we're choosing to be together. It's never forced. So I think if a couple just want to be in separate beds, in separate rooms, in separate homes, why does it matter if that's what's working for them in their relationship, if that's what's keeping them functional and happy? Because that's the goal, isn't it? You don't need this traditional structure. You just need to be functional and happy. Like, why would you want to be less functional as a couple just to meet some traditional, arbitrary goal, standard, whatever? It's crazy to me. Like, sleep is a really, really important thing when it comes to everyone. You know, you need to get good sleep because it impacts your health, your physical and mental health, your happiness, your well-being, your productivity in life. Honestly, even as far as how nice you are to other people can be impacted by sleep, you know? And people have different conditions they need for sleeping. Some people want a hard mattress, a soft mattress, hard pillows, soft pillows, a heavy duvet, a light blanket. Some people want the window open constantly. Some people need everything warm and cozy and have a heated blanket even in the middle of summer. Some people might need complete silence and everything blacked out. Some people might want, you know, a bit of background noise, a white noise machine, the TV on when they go to sleep. A person might snore and that bothers the other. Someone might need medical apparatus while they're sleeping, and that might, you know, they might need that or they die, but that might still bother the other person. So in those cases, why not have separate beds, separate bedrooms, separate areas for sleeping? If it makes you healthier and happier, what's the big deal? You can still come together for intimacy and cuddles and, you know, spend that time together and be physical together, but you don't need to sleep together. You can be like, all right, good night, I love you, and go your separate ways. It's not a problem. This person said it in quite a funny way, and I do like their point. I kind of agree with them. They said, when you get to a certain age, you'll understand. Old men, especially if they're a little bit overweight, snore, and they sound like a truck. I mean, honestly, not just men. Women can snore like a little beast. I know, especially when I have tonsil issues, I get quite snory, and I'm very prone to tonsillitis. I get quite loud and snory when I'm like that. Kubi Bear is an absolute snoring beast, aren't you, baby? You might be able to hear us snoring in the background right now. Whereas Kieran, he's mostly silent. So sometimes I have to be like, especially if I've got like tonsil issues, I'm like, don't sleep over tonight, that you won't relax. But anyway, she says, on the other hand, perimenopausal women lose their sleep and they're cool. I mean, it's a point to bring up. Eventually there are 3 solutions: divorce, murder, or separate bedrooms. Which is funny. It's an oversimplification, but she has a point, you know? This person I completely disagree with, though. They say, you don't have a relationship if you do this, you have a friend with benefits. No. Sorry, but like, you can't equate a committed, loving relationship that's just a little non-traditional with just friends with benefits. That's casual. There's no commitment. There's no romantic feelings. There's no commitment. There's no partnership. It's just friends who sleep with each other. A long-term committed relationship is entirely different because you have got that commitment, you've got that loyalty, you've got that trust, you are a partnership, you are a team, you work together, you share these wonderful experiences together and you build a life together. And you have this wonderful, beautiful romantic love as well as a sexual relationship. And just because you're not sleeping in the same bed every night, that doesn't undermine any of those wonderful things that you have and that you've built together and will continue to build together. It's crazy to me that people are basing the value of a relationship on whether you sleep in the same bed. Madness. Madness. This person though, I loved their input. They said, honestly, I've been contemplating this because my mental health issues are severely affected by lack of sleep and my husband is a snorer, so I suffer. I'm not a cuddler either as I'm perimenopausal and my husband's body temperature is like a furnace. It's unbearable if he gets too close. Doesn't change how I feel about him whatsoever. Sleep is important and intimacy can still happen regardless. People act like it's the death of a marriage and it's not. It's finding compromises and making things work. And I think she's 100% right and really commend her for that. Brilliant. Again, this person shares their experiences as, we sleep in separate beds but in the same room. Best decision ever. Wish we'd started our marriage this way because we both sleep better now. Amazing. And yeah, on that kind of slightly silly-ish note, that's where I am gonna end this video today, but thank you so much for watching. I know it's shorter than normal and less scripted. I just yeah, with where my head's at, I just need to make some slightly less high pressure content at the minute, so I'm gonna film at least one more of these videos tonight. We'll see. And yeah, thank you so much for your support. It really does mean a lot. If you'd like to see more content from me, then I do have a personal Instagram account where I post photos of me, my life, my dog, all that cute stuff, also some of the art that I make and a lot of the photography stuff that I do for fun. If you'd like to support my work and my channel in any way, then I do have a Patreon account where you can support me for as little as $1 a month. And I also have some things that you get at the higher tiers, like exclusive stickers and prints, which I'm going to be updating really soon, which I'm excited about. I also have a website where you can get prints of my art and my photos and stuff like that. And I've got a really cool print that I'm working on at the minute that's going to be out soon, which is one of my latest poems with, like, you know, printed with one of my photos. And it's just kind of like a nice little art piece type thing. So if you want to get one of those, you can do. It's kind of to raise a little bit of excitement and awareness about my second poetry book and art book. It's like a big photo art piece. It's a big chunky 300-page boy that's chock full of creative stuff and essays and poetry and photos and paintings and a bit of everything. Anyway, that's coming out hopefully sometime before Christmas. But to kind of get a little bit of excitement about that, I've got one of the poems that's going to be featured in that book, along with one of my photographs available as a nice print that you can get and frame and put up in your house and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's available from my website, which is linked in the video description below. And I think that's all the admin stuff for now. Yeah, I don't know. Thank you for watching today. I'm bad at these outros, but there you go. You know what? I might just clip this outro actually and use it in the next video. So please don't forget to leave your comments down below because all that engagement really helps. And subscribe if you're new here because it would be great to have you. I try and make all kinds of fun and educational but inclusive content that is very intersectional feminist, very pro-LGBT. I also talk about books and review them and poetry and yeah, it'd be great to have you on the journey. So thank you so much for watching today and I will see you again soon. And so will my little snoring Cooberry Pie, who's snoring underneath the camera right now. She's very cute. Sleepy girl. Bye.